Well, hello there, how are you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Today we got a new pick a card. Today's pick a card is going to be about what are your psychic gifts, and we're gonna be keeping it very keeping it general, keeping it loose in its meaning to see whatever pops up. It's gonna be a bit of a game of self-discovery for we're gonna be tuning into, especially the gifts that you have that you may not be seeing. These are the ones we tend to be the most interested in, right? But yeah, if that's something you're interested in, make yourself comfortable, grab a drink, make yourself at home. And yeah, just a reminder, if you enjoy this content, please like it and subscribe so you don't miss out when I post new videos like so. That being said, let's get right into it. Today we got 3 groups in front of us to be choosing from, 3 different piles, and I'm going to be asking you, as per usual, to be tuning into your intuition so as to feel into which pile you feel the most drawn to, knowing that whichever pile you feel the most drawn to is going to be the one holding the messages you're meant to be hearing right now. Now, if you're feeling drawn to more than one pile, that's totally fine. It may just simply mean that there are messages for you in more than just one pile. Many messages, many gifts for you to uncover. But yeah, take your time, pause the video if you need to tune into your intuition, feel into the pile you feel the most drawn to. For pile number 1, we have the Citrine. For pile number 2, the Moss Agate. As for pile number 3, we have the Aquamarine right here. And yeah, once you have made your choice relative to which pile you wish to see, you can fast forward directly to the timestamps provided down below, either in the description box or the pinned comment, so that you can fast forward directly to your reading. And I'm going to be seeing you there. Hey, pile number 1, how are you doing? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're doing fine. If pile number 1, if you chose the Citrine crystal, that's going to be your reading. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into it. So I'm going to be putting the crystal here, and these oracle cards are going to be the one like just opening up the answer. So as for which psychic gifts, especially if psychic, you may be having that you may not be aware of, or just the ones that you have that you already do know that you have, but just as a reminder. And I think it's pretty self-explanatory already. I'm gonna start shuffling the tarot cards already. But yeah, one thing for sure is this, like, reveal what needs to be seen. You are typically, pile 1, you're my group of people who tends to trigger people out just by virtue of breathing. You are my kind of people who tend to be surprised by the reactions that you may be observing around you, people just loving you to death, whereas you don't even know their name, or people out of the blue just starting hating on you without even you knowing why. Your energy is very much the kind that tends to reveal the shadows, I feel. It's like in your presence, people see their truth, and people are in touch with their truth. How would I describe it best still? It's very much the feeling that people cannot hide in your vicinity. And so all the things that would want to be hidden tend to be revealed. And yeah, that tends to upset a certain amount of people, obviously, that do not necessarily want to be looking at themselves in the mirror. But that's very much one of your gifts. It's like you see what you see the truth. You're not the kind of person we can lie to. And on top of that, in your presence, everything is revealed. There is no place for like unawareness, for unconscious. There is no place for lies. There is no place for shadows. It's like just by you walking into the room, all the cards are laid on the table, so to speak. And that I find very interesting because, yeah, it definitely can feel a bit like a curse, especially when you're younger, because you do observe people who react in ways that you wouldn't prefer, and you don't necessarily understand why. But the beautiful gift is that you see the truth, literally, and this is an opportunity which is offered to all the people around you as well. Then we have speak your world into being and practice gratitude. I'm definitely hearing like very good manifestor energies coming through, like someone who knows what they want and who just creates the life the way they want just by virtue of speaking into being. I'm also like I'm hearing that for some of you, like scripting or mirror talk could be relevant. If that's not something that you're very familiar with, perhaps look into it, because that could be something that you enjoy. But I'm hearing like big manifestor energy for one. And another thing is like your voice seems to be another one of your gifts. I'm yet again hearing the word truth, as in it just feels like your voice transmits frequencies. It's like, which is quite stupid when you hear it out loud, as in, yes, obviously the voice is a sound, a sound is a frequency. But what I'm getting at here is it very much feels like there is something about your voice and the specific frequencies that you tend to send out into the world just by virtue of you speaking, that is very impactful. The world reacts to it, the world responds to it, but the people around as well. I generally feel that there is a sensation of healing into your voice too. Yeah, there's something up with your voice, definitely, as in you transmitting or vocalizing frequencies which are healing, which are revealing of what needs to be seen. I'm hearing ascension. It's like, it's the kind of, your voice tends to wake people up, especially in a metaphorical way. And that is a gift in of itself, because yeah, we all know that this is not the case of everybody, definitely. But yeah, there is a lot about you which turns around healing and inspiring people their best selves and showing what needs to be seen, transmuting, especially with this card, and just leading people into ascending into the best versions of themselves, leading people into awakening, opening their eyes up to the infinite possibilities of themselves, of the world. With the card practice gratitude, there's definitely a link, I feel, with happiness and your natural optimism. I just felt that you are someone who at heart is naturally optimistic, at heart is in tune with the world. And what I was picking up on just before, there's a sense of transmutation here too, as in it's not hard for you to see the negativity because you see it very clearly, you reveal it very clearly, and to shift your perspective around it so as to transmit it into something positive. Why is this thing that we deem as bad be so bad? Why wouldn't it be actually an opportunity? At the end of the day, like whether something is beneficial or not is very much dependent on how you look at it. But I definitely do see that you are very good at shifting perspectives and as such transmuting something that feels bad into something that feels like an opportunity that may even bring about joy and optimism into the mix. So yeah, definitely transmuter is coming through. Like revealing that which we do not want to see, transmuting it in things that are beautiful, the things that are empowering, things that are loving, and just yeah, you expressing yourself into the world seems to be like one of your superpowers, definitely. I'm hearing that's something that you could already be interested in, but if that's not something that you have really gravitated towards already, there's definitely a theme with self-expression here. So if that's not something that you currently do in your life, which I would be surprised, honestly, perhaps look into it. May it be like public speaking, singing, a form of artistic expression where you get to express yourself. It could be talking, it could be music, although I feel that it's closer to your voice really than what you do with your hands. But it's definitely something about your voice. So yeah, that's a random message, but could definitely be something worth investigating if that's not something that is really part of your life right now. Whoop. But yeah, very much like healer energy coming through. Big healer energy, which, and also like a lot of strength I'm hearing, because these kind of powers that we're talking about, they are like very subject to triggering people. It's the whole point of this power of yours. You are not here to allow old patterns to carry on. You are not here to enable past mistakes to be repeated. That's very much not you. And that is like, even if you wish you could enable the past to repeat, it's like you can't. That's just part of you. And that is something that people don't like, you know, like having to look at yourself in the mirror. It's not something that everybody's willing to do. So I definitely do feel that, yeah, there is definitely subject to triggering people here. That's why I feel like there is a lot of strength, because, well, this kind of gift kind of feels like a curse. I can tell at first glance when you don't get what it is. Eventually you grow strong and you realize that you put in the boundaries and you start enjoying all the benefits of it. But at first it can feel like, yeah, I'm just hearing like typically someone who, you're very much apparently the kind of person who's always had these things going on in their lives, but I can tell that, yeah, in the past it may not have always played out in your favor. That's why I feel that there is a lot of strength coming through in your field too. That is beautiful. And we have, as for the tarot, I'm gonna be using this card to go like a little deeper to see like if there are other specifics or other things that Spirit wants us to see and know. First of all, the Four of Swords, I love this card, just feels dead calm. As in, your core is a completely still lake. And that is not something that perhaps you get to feel every day because, you know, life and humans' emotions. But I know that just when you get yourself into meditative states or just you calm down, you know that deep down you're always at peace. You're always very calm. And that is something that people tell you also, like around you, when people are in your vicinity, tell you, oh my God, you're such a calm person, which sometimes may be a little like surprising because you may feel that it's not the case. You may feel like there are plenty of things going on. You may feel like you're a bit in a hurry. You may feel stressed. You may feel all kinds of things. You may feel excited. But at your core is there's definitely this sense of just stillness, of peace, of very resourceful, rejuvenating place, which is beautiful. Definitely something to tap into, be aware of, and tap into any times you want, really, because it just seems to be you, you know, like who you are. I'm drinking a little. Talking about drinking, then we got 3 cups cards. We got the 3 of cups, the 6 of cups, the Knight of cups. A lot of emotions. A very developed inner world with lots of emotions. Would love to see that. 3 of cups is celebration. And that kind of ties back into like the Sagittarius card that we had before, as in there's just something very optimistic, very upbeat about your energy. Natural optimism and inspiring optimism, something just very, very sweet. Just always someone who always sees the opportunity in the one reason or another to be celebrating life. Honestly, that's kind of what it feels like. And with the 6 of cups, I also feel still this theme of very optimism, but with the 6 of cups, it kind of screams out loud inner child and the natural optimism that a young child would have about life. Very pure, you know? And yeah, very inspiring too, again. Then another thing which I like, because like here these 2 cards are really do feel like more on the pure and innocent side. Very optimistic, very celebration oriented, very on other things like friends. You seem to be very good at making friends and connecting with people. But yeah, it's just a very upbeat energy. And then you got the Knight, which is a much more, it's something that feels like almost adolescent. I don't know why adolescence seems to be relevant, but something which is much more like grown up in a sense, which is all like the romantic side of yours. Like here we got a lot of, first of all, a lot of creativity, a lot of passion. That's why, like, I'm not surprised that the themes of arts popped up before, because we definitely got that here again. I'm also getting like a sense of theater for some reason, like with the pause. Could very well see like like someone playing a character with the holding a rose, like, you know, part of the theater thingy. So yet again, arts, creativity, and passion for what we do, but also romance and attraction and sensuality. There's also something very relevant about your energy. Is like I can tell that your aura is very magnetic. On one side, it feels to people very cute because it's very innocent, it's very pure. You may be the kind of person who tends to look younger than expected by their age. But on the other end, there is a way more I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, much more sensual, much less naive kind of energy emanating from you, which is very essential, which is very magnetic, which is very attractive, which is powerful, which is confident. And there's a lot of magnetism here. And I feel that this is a gift in and of itself. Is that, like, yeah, some people might say, well, it always feels good to be attracting the attention. Sure, okay, I can give you that. But here in this case, it's also the fact that you are very magnetic for a reason. I generally feel that because of all of that which you have to share with this world, and it definitely feels that you have a lot to share using your voice in this world, in this lifetime, the fact that you are intrinsically extremely magnetic doesn't feel like such a coincidence. Because not only people, you have a lot to say, and yet people would listen to you even if they don't know you, just because of how good looking you look, or simply how magnetic you feel. Your energy is very appealing, I can tell, and that is it's something to be aware of, definitely. But yeah, that is very interesting mix of different bips and bobs, but they all kind of, it just feels like it all merges into one like big it feels logical. It feels like there is a line that merges everything. It's like, sure, there is this, there is that, there is the optimism, there is the magnetism, there's the healing, there's the revealing, there is the transmutation, but it all feels like it's very much focused onto what I would describe like the archetype of a healer that tends to heal the world and the people around and themselves through the voice. Seems to be very relevant, the voice here. But yeah, that is very interesting. Thank you so much for having shared space with me today. That was a lovely reading, very interesting to say the least. Please let me know down in the comments how it went for you, if it resonated. I love to hear about you, your thoughts, what you think of this all, because yeah, there was a lot of different things that popped up, so yeah, it'd be very interesting to know. Please like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed it. That being said, I'm gonna be seeing you in my next video. Till then, enjoy all that you are, because that seems to be very fun. And yeah, I'm gonna be seeing you there. Bye. Well, hello there, pan number 2. How are you doing? I'm so happy, so glad to have you here. I hope you're doing great, that you're comfortable, that you're comfortable. You know what? If part 2, if you chose this beautiful moss agate, that's gonna be your reading. So we're gonna get right into it. Yep, there we see it. We're gonna start with the oracle cards. Your group got 4, interestingly enough. So we're gonna see what kind of psychic gifts can you be discovering or just get reminded of. We got 3 full moons. That is interesting, straight off the bat. So got the last quarter moon in Libra, the full moon in Gemini, full moon in Aquarius, full moon in Leo. We got a lot of air signs. I'm hearing that you are quite tapped in. We're talking like big crown chakra energies, and I just feel like the idea of a psychic gift is not so foreign to you, definitely. Because like we got three full moons, which is definitely getting me straight off the bat the energy of someone who's very tapped in, someone who's very like connected to the spiritual plans. It's not a struggle to connect at all. But on top of that, like with all of the air energy, I'm getting this sense of someone who knows a lot, someone who has easy access to information. I'm hearing like getting access to the Akashic record could be something that you're very familiar with, if it rings a bell. Yeah, just someone who has an easy time accessing information, even if it is esoteric. I'm hearing like an oracle of a kind, someone who just knows stuff. So that's very like the thing that I was thinking about before was like claircognizance. Amongst the clairs, which is how we name the psychic senses, all the things that do not make really sense to the mind because they're not physical in nature. We talk about clairaudience, which is someone who hears things but not with their physical ears that others wouldn't. Clairvoyance, a very like popular one, which is someone who sees things although they're not seeing with their physical eyes but with the mind's eye. There is clairempathy, which is people feeling into stuff. Here, claircognizance, for those who don't know, claircognizance is someone who just happens to randomly know information, someone who just downloads information straight into their mind. It happens through the mind. It's like the mind is opened through the crown chakra to receiving information from above. And so you just happen to know unexplainably, because the mind wouldn't be able to catch up onto where the heck is this information coming from. You just happen to know it, which I found like very. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of you, pile number 2, have this ability or just like are aware of possessing this ability or just are realizing right now that it may be actually what has been going on for the longest time in your life. You just happen to know unexplainably, not even needing to feel into it, to hear into it, to think into it. It just is there amongst your knowledge. Could definitely be someone who is considered like very wise, very knowledgeable. Wisdom seems to be relevant. It's like I'm really getting like on one end the very airy energy. The air energy is about communication, but also knowledge and the mind. Communication and how to communicate it. No, what? Wait a second, no. Knowledge and how to communicate it, better said this way. And another end, like a psychic with all of these full moons, someone who is very tapped into. So it just feels like, yeah, like the merging point there very much feels like an oracle or a guru, like a spiritual teacher. That's like the kind of themes that are going on. Spiritual teachers, a psychic, an oracle. These are the kind of things which, yeah, are popping up in my mind right now. But besides that, going more in depth with the cards, I generally feel that it's very, well, air energy definitely, that we've already touched on. Someone who's very smart, I'm hearing. Very smart, and some of you could be like belittling yourself a little when it comes to your intellect, which there's no reason to, really. But I just feel also like someone who's very, I'm getting like smooth as a word, but it feels a little weird in this context. Like someone who just goes through life smoothly, embrace the flow of life. Yeah, just like someone who's just happy to go with life and just see where it goes. It feels like surrenderedness, which is fun because it's more of a watery energy that we're getting here. Self-love, be real. It just feels like another thing that was the reason to why I started looking at the astrological sign is because straight off the bat I was feeling that your energy felt very like holistic. I was getting some water, some earth, some fiery energy with the Leo definitely, but no, we just have air signs. But I still feel this sense of you are the kind of person who feels very holistic in their energy. That's very much how your energy is appearing to me right now. Is like, sure, there is a lot of communication, of knowing, of wisdom, of mental going on in your field, and yet there is the there is the love, there is the heart, there is the flow, there is the moving through life smoothly, and yet there's the groundedness, be real, that to me like screams earth energy. Someone who knows also how to be practical is like, which is a very beautiful thing when you think about it. It's like, sure, you're very tapped in as an oracle, but you're also very much here on earth, you know, like head in the sky and feet on earth kind of situation. And then we also got a hint of fire, just go wild. I love that. Just, you know, it just feels like it's, you inherently know how to juggle between all of these energies, all of these facets of life, which feels very, very, very cool, honestly. It's like, you know, there is a moment for planification and a moment just to go for it. There's a moment to be like an oracle, to be downloading energies and knowledge, and there's just a moment to just be practical and know how to communicate it and just get the things done when you want to. There is the energy of knowing when it's time to go have fun with people and when instead you prefer staying at home for making space for yourself and recharging. It feels very balanced in its approach, which is, well, it's something very noticeable. And as such, I also feel that you tend to easily connect with many, many, many people, because it's not, I'm going to give you an example, like someone whose energy would be amongst the four elements very drawn towards one element, one or two, like someone who is like very earth energy, Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus. In astrology, these would be the signs that depict it best. It's like someone who is extremely practical, extremely grounded, who tends to move slowly because it just works for them this way, and someone who's like that. Well, if they're very attached to the earth energy just because that's who they are, well, you may realize that these people tend to struggle a little bit with the more air related energies, which are the ones which are much more like in the air, up in the air, moving swiftly from one idea to another, communicating. It's a very like fluid energy compared to the earth, you know, like we tend to oppose water and fire, earth and air, because they seemingly oppose each other. But since you seem to be very balanced between all of these different things, it just feels like you can honestly hang out with everyone and anyone, which is very cool, you know. Feels a little random to say, but honestly, that's enjoyable, I can tell. And also, when it comes to communicating all the knowledge that you wish to share with the world, you're just very good at knowing what to communicate and how to communicate, because you don't struggle connecting with someone so as to be able to explain them in the best way they would understand. So that is a very good like teacher energy coming through too. Let's pull some tarot cards now that we've already laid the foundations. Wanting to see if we got some more specifics, some details, or just confirmations of what we have already seen. Okay, thank you. We got, let me see on the camera. Yeah, there we see them. I'm gonna bring only one other then. Okay. We got the Five of Swords, the Two of Wands. Funnily enough, that's another theme, so we're gonna be talking about something else. Let's see. Yep. Try not to destroy the cards as I shuffle them. We got the Knight of Wands. Okay, so air and fire through the signs that we're seeing, but as we've just discussed, it's like you seem to be touching everything, but there seems to be quite an emphasis still on the air energy and the fire energy, just based off the elements that we had in the cards just before. There is, that's a completely, it's something completely different from what we've discussed with these tarot cards, which I do find very interesting. Five of Swords, Two of Wands, and Knight of Wands. The Five of Swords and the Shield of the Knight seems to be very appealing to me. Like the Five of Swords, I tend to see, especially with the depiction of this deck, to me it just feels like narcissism, in the way I like. The first thing when I notice the imagery is like If you see, if I bring it a little closer, there in frame, even better, guess what? When we can see it a whole, it's like, it's like there is this one sword. It's not really a sword, but I wouldn't know how to describe it otherwise. Like a scythe of a kind. Let's go with scythe. You got this central scythe, which is like shining, it's made of gold, it's flourishing, and then you have the ties towards the others, which are like crumbling in the background, which very much feels like the one in the middle is draining the one in the background. This idea is not the only idea, it's not the only thing that goes on with the Five of Swords, but here is very much like the energy I'm getting. And here we have a shield. I'm picking up on the theme of like knowing how to protect yourself from abuse and knowing how to make the best choices for yourself. Am I picking up on a backstory? What kind of... How does this fit? Okay, just a second. How does this fit the question? That's my question right now. When it comes to your gifts. Okay, you seem to be extremely aware of this situation, I see. I do feel that's something that goes on. It's like this gift very much feels tied hand in hand with your purpose in one way or another. You are definitely the kind of person who could have been partaking into relationships of the kind I was describing before, like narcissistic. Being in relationships with people who are in deep pain, who have made the choice to disconnect themselves from their emotions, and as such are just striving to thrive onto other people, brute forcing the obtaining of their needs without caring about how other people feel around them. A very destructive kind of adaptation. But when we cheese, guess what? Very common nowadays. And thank God, as we're moving towards the new Earth, that is shifting and disappearing as time goes on. But I kind of do feel that this is something that you could be very much of an expert at. Not in the sense that you're very good at doing that, but you're very good at recognizing it. There's just the sense of you being acutely aware of what this is. The energy I've just described with the Five of Swords. This energy of narcissism, people trying to take advantage. It just feels, I'm hearing people working in law, in the field of law. Perhaps you could be someone working in this field, justice, things of that kind. I do feel that this is psychological abuse, and not only psychological, but these forms of abuse are something that you are acutely aware of. It's like you very much know what it is, because you yourself in the past could have been subject to that. But somehow it seems relevant. It just feels like, even if it has been a piece of your history, it actually is very relevant to your gifts. Because with the Two of Wands and the Knight of Wands, there's just this feeling of, the Two of Wands is very much like making the choice the most, when you have two choices, making the choice that feels the least feasible, the least logical, but the one you know sounds true to you. Even if it means that the bee is going to be alone for a little while. It's like making the choice. Here I'm getting the idea of making a choice which feels like against the current, because you know that it will make you feel better. You know that it's in your best interest, although society wouldn't have it. And the Knight of Wands here is just screaming at me, like, it's a very like forward moving kind of energy, very blunt energy, very strong energy. And here we also got the shield. It just feels like, like someone with a spear and shield, they know how to protect themselves and they know how to attack back. And all of this is just giving me this idea that, first of all, you could definitely have a strong sensibility to justice and working in things related with the law. But overall, is very much the sense of you knowing what this abuse is, because this form of relationship style, let's say, is very common nowadays, and it is considered part of the norm. We are starting to name it. Yeah, we gave it the fancy name of narcissism, the fancy name of abuse, but for the past centuries, it wasn't even named. It was just normal. It's like, yeah, this person is not kind. That's it. Why? Because it was considered normal. It's like our species is slowly but surely awakening to the existence of the mind, or to the existence of emotions, although you're very well aware of it, especially if you're watching these kinds of videos. But it just feels like this is something you're already completely aware of, and working with that feels definitely part of your life in some way. Knowing how to make the right choices, knowing how to put healthy boundaries, helping other people, making the right choices, healing, putting the right boundaries, defending themselves from that, putting an end to the spreading of the hatred, putting an end to the spreading of the pain. Like shaking people up, waking people up to the fact that no, it's not okay to normalize these kinds of relationships. It's not okay to it's understandable but not beneficial to anybody to be normalizing these kinds of abuse. And that seems to be very relevant to your purpose in a way. I'm feeling anger, as in the anger that says, I'm not gonna let you step on my toes, I'm not gonna let you use and abuse me the way you want. It just feels like it's very powerful, very passionate too. Strong energy coming through, definitely. But also the fact that we got a woman. I just find it's like, yeah, it's very strong energy, very blunt energy, but it's also very sweet and gentle. And we had a reference to self-love and self-care before. It's like there's a lot of love in the situation, because the patterns, when we come to these kinds of abuse, the only people that can do these kinds of abuse are people who are capable of hurting other people without feeling their pain. This is only possible if you're disconnected from the heart. So sure, there is definitely this very airy energy about the mind, knowing what is right, what is not right, what is in your best interest, what is not in your best interest, what we were discussing. Not normalizing these kinds of things, knowing how to recognize it, knowing how to make the right choice, knowing how to put the right boundaries. That's very much air element. But there's also this idea of, how do you know what is right? Well, you know that it's right because you know it's you know it feels good, you know it's in alignment with you. That's when you bring the heart back. And it just feels like this kind of, these values, and this feels like a fight, honestly. This fighting against what needs to stop feels something that is very close to your heart, and it's a thing that you're very, very, very good at, something that you excel at, something which is effortless to you. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm just picturing, like a woman judge, typically in a court, like a woman, more of a feminine energy, but which is very strong, which is very smart, which knows what is right, what is not right, which is very aware. I wouldn't be able to name her, but I just seen, like, on Instagram, I stumbled a few times on a reel of a, I guess, relatively famous woman judge in the US. And like, it was like these reels would always be putting an emphasis on the fact that this woman was, well, first of all, very smart and very good at what she was doing, but she was extremely clear and clairvoyant when it came to what was the truth, what wasn't, and what was the good. What is the good in the situation? This idea of the heart is just not just a matter of saying that society deems this as right or wrong. It's the idea of fighting for that which is true, fighting for that which is good, fighting for that which is authentic. It goes well beyond just the mind. It goes well beyond just, yeah, this societal concept. So I just find it very, I don't know if it's very clear what I just described, but I just find it very inspiring, definitely. That's the kind of image I'm getting here. Obviously, that may not be what your life looks like, obviously, but it's very much the energy you're walking with, and I find it to be fascinating, honestly. And I'm very, very happy that we have people like you on this planet, because we need it. So don't dim your lights, be as loud as you feel like being, because we need to hear you, definitely. That's the message I'm getting from Spirit here. It's like your voice and you're fire and you're going wild and you screaming on top of your lungs to defend what is true to you is very much necessary in this world. And that is the very reason to why you're so passionate about it, to why you could be angrily defending your case at a family dinner for an hour because this is something you're very passionate about, and you're right to be. So that is something that I found so fascinating. Thank you so much, pile number 2, for having shared space with me today. That was, again, a very fascinating reading, and I hope that you're proud of everything that is going on within you, because you should be, first of all, and I hope that you see the extreme value and preciousness that you're walking with. That is very, very beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much, honestly. Please let me know down in the comments how it went for you, if it resonated. How does this make you feel? Does it feel true? Because I bet it does. What are your thoughts? I'd love to be connecting with you. Also, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. That would support me tremendously. But yeah, that being said, I'll see you in my next video. Till then, enjoy all that you are, honestly. And yeah, I'm going to be seeing you there. Bye. Well, hello there, pal number 3. How you doing? I hope you're doing great. I hope you're sitting comfortably, or whatever applies. If part 3, if you chose this beautiful aquamarine, this is going to be your reading. So we're going to get right into it. And we're going to start with these oracle cards, if I can get them, which are going to, open the theme of what are the gifts that you need to be aware of, that you need to be accepting and owning if that's not already done, or discover if you were not made aware of before. We got the last quarter in Pisces, new moon in Capricorn, first quarter moon in Libra. Okay, there's something about nighttime straight off the bat here. And the heart. I'm hearing that, okay, first of all, that could be very specific, perhaps not for every one of you, but I do feel that nighttime seems to be relevant relative to your energy levels. You know, as, I don't know if there is like precise words to describing that. There probably is. But when describing like energy levels throughout the day, you know, there are some people who are more active and feel more energetic in the morning. For some it's the case in the evening. Some people you feel like they're night owls. Some people they're very active just before the sun goes down. You know, it's like that. I don't know how to call it. The energy levels that you may be experiencing throughout the day, I genuinely feel that in your case, nighttime is a very energetic moment for you. Not in the sense that you may enjoy staying up all night, although that may be the case for some, I don't know. But what I'm picking up on right now is there's a lot of creativity and your feminine gets really activated under the moon. And yeah, the feminine is about emotionality, creativity, sensuality. It's about all of that. You're the kind of person who would be having like your epiphanies, your aha moments, your brightest ideas at night. The kind of person who wakes up in the middle of the night to write down something on a piece of paper before going back to sleep because they just had an amazing idea. I'm definitely sensing that, yeah, nighttime just seems to be very relevant because it's like this figure just seems to be very appealing. Someone who's just at peace in the dark. So you could have a very special and very strong connection to the moon. But I'm getting this sense of someone who just feels so themselves and so at peace when things calm down under the cycles of the moon. Yeah, when the sun goes down, someone who just feels like they're much more alive, much more energetic. So that is something specific but which seems relevant here. My case here as well, by the way. That's also my case. But yeah, someone who just gets a lot of energy, a lot of inspiration at night. And also someone who is very much tapped in to like their psychic senses at night. So that is something to be aware of or recognize. I just feel like most of you are aware of that. Perhaps some of you never like took the time to acknowledge it, but I just feel like you all know that already. And something about the heart as well and leadership. Okay, well, one thing at a time. The heart. You have such a sweet heart and such a big heart, and that is so beautiful. I just feel it's like, oh my god, that is just so beautiful. such a big heart, and such a strong love, honestly, for yourself, for all of those you care about, for the entire world. Your love is the kind that envelops this entire world. It's just so beautiful. And a real strength of yours, too. Step up and lead is definitely, especially in Capricorn, there's definitely the sense of leadership coming through. But I wouldn't necessarily argue the kind of masculine leadership then. I'm not, like in this case, the leader, although I do not want to be discriminating, because if that's how you feel, then this is the case. So, you know, like take up what resonates and leave the rest. If it doesn't feel right, it's probably because it isn't, you know? That would defeat the purpose of the reading otherwise. But for most of you, I'm just going to keep it this way. I do not feel that this kind of leadership is the kind of the masculine leadership, as in, think, I don't know, a head of a state, a president, a king. That's not the kind of image I'm getting. I'm getting much more like the kind of feminine leadership, especially because we have a very strong feminine energies coming through, like with the sensitivity to the moon, to the nighttime, with such a big heart. What kind of feminine style of leadership could I be mentioning here? What kind of example we could be sharing? I'm hearing Mother Teresa for a reason that I don't know, but perhaps that's relevant to some of you. You know, if I were to take the example of Margaret Thatcher, UK, you know, that's a woman, sure, but that's very much of a masculine kind of leadership that we're talking. She's a woman, yes, but the leadership was very masculine. The qualities she was displaying were very masculine. I'm getting, okay, I got it. Think Gandhi, the founder of India, the one who brought India together. His protests were pacifist, you know. The poor guy stood in prison for many years, and he created this very pacifist movement, and he inspired the masses, brought about the masses, but it was non-violent, it was non-physical. Obviously, he displayed also very masculine qualities. I mean, it takes that too in order to, you know, like be head of a country. But that's more like the idea of the movement that Gandhi initiated. That's more a form of leadership, which is inspiring, but which is very heart-based. Heart-based at heart. Yeah, okay, bingo. It's like, at its core, is heart-based. That's more of a feminine kind of leadership. Although I'm still not satisfied with this example. But yeah, like overall, the idea I'm wanting to convey is like your form of leadership seems to be more based of the heart, more based of inspiring people, changing people from the inside out through inspiration, not through telling them what to do. Although yet again, if you feel more of a masculine, independently of your gender, then it's not just that, you know. Take up what resonates again, because I feel that some of you could be like, yes, there's definitely this kind of feminine leadership, but for some of you, it's not only feminine. But there is at least this strong influential power of just love. You show the world what love is, and people cannot deny that it feels good. How could you? Yeah, every single human just yearns to be surrendering to more and more and more love and joy and peace and calm and effortlessness, and this is very much what you radiate. This is what you show the world. This is what you inspire the world. This is how you change the world, just by being you and radiating all of that. And this is how you lead the world, because people just end up looking for you for inspiration. That is so beautiful. Very, very strong, like super badass, super strong energy, yet very feminine, which is something that we aren't very used to see. It's not something that society really puts, you know, in front of the camera, because so far it was very much all about the masculine. We all know that, right? Oh, I'm out of water. Well, that's okay. But yeah, very much this kind of very strong leader, but with a lot of feminine to it. So it feels very refreshing, honestly. And I wouldn't be surprised if you end up in the public eye, if not already. Because I just feel like that you are here to inspire the masses. 10 of Wands, okay. Yeah, the tarot cards here are just for us to be tuning into more like details and specifics. For pile number 2, it also ended up revealing something completely different that we hadn't talked about before. This one popped up before. Okay, we got the 5 of Swords. You could be coming from pile number 2 now, that I'm feeling. There are a few similarities to the tarot cards with pile number 2. Maybe a few other cards. No, maybe. No. Let's see. Spirit. Yes. Okay. Yep. This one too. Okay. Back of the deck energy, the 2 of Swords. We're gonna see if that's relevant and if it makes sense a little later on. No, okay, I get what it means. 2 of Swords. The 2 of Swords describes confusion when we are met with decision making, but we don't know what to do because we feel confused, because we feel blinded. The typical depiction of the 2 of Swords is a woman holding 2 swords while being blindfolded. And I'm kind of getting this idea of the energy that you operate in tends to be the one of perhaps something about the wounded masculine, as in a world that has chosen the wounded masculine as a reference, as a thing to praise and everything. One of the things that comes with the wounded masculine, which is how we have built our society, is that we do not know what is the best choice to make. It's like we can only think about what is the most logical decision, but we intrinsically do not know why. It's very logical. It's a very logical thing, actually. The masculine deals with the mind. The feminine deals with the heart. Thank God we got both going on within us, right? But if we choose to only like vow to one, only vow to the masculine, then we're gonna get stuck in our minds. The minds understand, but it doesn't know. That's why you wake up from a stressful dream because, oh my God, it felt so real. The mind doesn't know what's real. It does not know. That's an intrinsic limitation of the mind, which makes it so perfect at what it's been designed for, which is not to know. That's why we got a heart. But it's very much obviously in this context that your energy and your gifts and your essence makes perfect sense. Just look at the challenges that we're facing as a collective in the world right now. Think war, think climate change, think this, think that. It's like, yeah, there are a lot of stuff going on, right? And each time it's like, okay, but how do we put an end to it? Oh, well, we can try this thing, we can try that thing, we can try to invest here, we can try to make this law. We can try plenty of things, but how do we know what's gonna work? You know, right now there's a bit like this collective incertitude, this collective pessimism too, when it comes to climate change and things of that kind, because it's like we may try a lot of things, but no one knows if it's gonna work. Whole point being, you cannot know what's gonna work. The mind cannot know that. And if as we have created this very masculine-oriented society, which has completely suppressed the feminine, the masculine becomes wounded, inevitably, because it is unbalanced. It cannot live on its own. That's why there is a masculine and a feminine. It's like asking the yin and yang to survive only with one piece. Well, it's not a circle anymore. It's not whole anymore. It just doesn't work. And as this wounded masculine is like, yeah, it's very confident about how we must do things, and that we gotta do this and we gotta do that, and we're gonna praise you if you do this and that, but it intrinsically has no clue what it's doing. Why? Because the mind doesn't know. And that's very much what I'm getting here. It's like your energy makes perfect sense with this 2 of Swords because you bring in the knowing. You bring in the heart. Your energy is very much about radiating the heart. And when the heart appears, you know what's in your best interest. You know what feels good. You may not be able to explain it, and perhaps what feels good in your heart is something that society has told you is not good. Then you're in for a life crisis. Then you feel like you're messed up. But the heart knows what's in alignment. It already knows. It already knows that which you're meant to be, that which you're meant to become, that which you're meant to be doing. It already knows what works for you. It already knows. There isn't the shadow of a doubt within your heart. The mind may be loud and covering up, but the heart has no doubt about it. You shining from the heart is bringing these answers. In a world where there is a lot of incertitude, where there's a lot of hustling, there is a lot of chaotic mental energy all around, it's like, how do we know what we need to do? Ask your heart. And I'm going to be showing you, and I'm going to be inspiring you to tune into your heart, and you will see the answer. That is very much fundamental to your energy. And yet again, it's just so beautiful. Something that is very, very, very much needed in this world, especially at this time, something that is so valuable. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being you, definitely. Now, when it comes to the tarot, we got 10 of Wands, 8 of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, 5 of Swords. What can we say about that? Well, we got a lot of masculine qualities coming through these cards. The 10 of Wands gives the impression... Are we talking... Okay, just a second. Are we talking about you or something else, spirits? Huh. We'll see. I feel like it's not necessarily you that we're talking about here, but more like the environment through which you're evolving. We'll see. We'll see how it articulates. I'm gonna start. 10 of Wands is typically the card of feeling overwhelmed by everything that is going on, everything you have to carry. It's like in this depiction, there is like there is a scarab, there is a beetle. I don't know if it's the Goliath or the Atlas one. A big old beetle, like a very big one. The kind of exotic one, which is carrying a lot of, which is notoriously famous for being very strong, carrying a lot of wands, a lot of stakes, including another little one. You know, it's like carrying a lot on his back. You are capable of carrying it all, but do you want to? You know, it's very much this thing is like, you can do it all, but it just ends up making you feel drained and overwhelmed. Here we have like 8 of Pentacles. It's working, perfecting your crafts, giving your best so as to become the best version of yourself that we're having. Ace of Wands, new opportunities, new ways. Yeah, okay, I'm getting more context. Ace of Wands we're gonna leave to just after. What I'm feeling here is that we have a description of the kinds of energies. When we say, we were talking about the wounded masculine, the characteristics of the wounded masculine you're coming naturally in opposition to, that you are naturally dissolving just by the very virtue of you being you and breathing, are these ones. Being overwhelmed, the rat race, feeling burdened, feeling drained, feeling stressed out, feeling like you're never enough, that you have to run after, you have to keep on chasing a ball. The fact that you feel never enough, again, that you have to be always perfecting your craft, that you need to be always proving the world your worth, that you need to be, there's very much this idea of having to prove, having to show that you're always better, having to, an obsession with self-improvement also is coming through. And here's just all out taking advantage of others, not considering them, not taking responsibility of your actions and just acting without considering the impact that it may have on the people around. I'm thinking like someone who decides, I'm not pointing fingers at anybody, someone who decides, hey, let's build a dam to produce electricity, and let's not consider the people who are living by the river who are going to have to abandon their homes because building this dam is going to flood the whole area. Why would we care, right? It's the kinds of energy of just, I'm gonna choose not to feel into my pain, not to feel into yours, and just, you know, not consider you. And that's very much like the characteristics of the wounded masculine, that you dissolve. It's not, you're not coming up against them. Yet again, it's like you're not the kind of violent leader. Very far from it. You're very much the pacifist leader. It's just the kind of person, you're just the kind of person who just looks straight into the eyes of these people, and just by looking, just with this eye contact, they know that they're messing it up. They know what bad stuff they're doing. There is no need for words. It's just like, when you look in the eyes of these people, there is no place for a single doubt about the fact that it's obvious that they're messing it up, that they're obvious that they're destroying themselves and everything they're touching right now. And it's very much here, it's like you bring in the clarity. You have all the ways in which, all the downfalls of a masculine that chooses to be suppressing, pushing away a feminine, and all the ways in which the wounded masculine may be expressing itself, and you shining from the heart, you're just coming through with all of this love and showing the world, forcing the world into owning to its downfalls, basically. And that is leading us to the Ace of Wands, which is a new opportunity. Especially the Wands, it's passion. It's what if we could build a world that benefited all, in which you would feel rich and abundant and powerful, all the things that a masculine like, right? All the things that a masculine enjoys, the power, the money, the everything. It's like, imagine a world where you have that, but on top of that, everybody's happy. Everybody is finding what they want, not just you. What about a world in which we're all thriving together? What about the new earth? They may not know this term, okay? What about that? That's the new opportunity. What about a better world? That's very much like the energy that you're bringing, and it's such a powerful, and I'm also feeling an extremely mature. I'm just seeing the depiction, like the image I'm having is just, I'm seeing like a bar, a cafe, in which there's a guy who's harassing a girl, and they're like the friends of the guy, like all the male friends, just to keep it like very simple, are like supporting the guy who's harassing the girl. And then there's just a much older woman that comes into the picture, who effortlessly, in a snap of a second, sees exactly what's going on and just like stares into the eyes of the guy who's harassing her. And you know, in this eye contact, she knows everything and he knows that he's fucked up. And like, not even 3 seconds into this eye contact, the guy breaks eye contact and just leaves. How is that? Because the guy saw, I mean, the woman would have seen clearly into the eyes of the guy. It's like, you can't hide. I know what you're doing. You know it's not good. And the guy felt in this very moment the shame, the guilt. And so he couldn't take it. He left. That's a very precise image I'm getting here, very precise scenario, but it's very much this energy, like this old wise woman. You may not be old, definitely, but your energy feels like it is like, your energy is very wise, very much the one that we listen to, that we look forward to, that we want to be led by, because we know that it's a very gentle, that is one that considers the best interest of all, one which is heart-based. And it feels very old and wise. I'm hearing old soul. Perhaps it could be resonating for some of you. It's like people know their stuff when you look at them. People look at themselves in a new light, and in clarity, they can look at themselves. And that's very much in this world that your energy is so valuable again and makes perfect sense. It's like, in this example that I'm having, it's like the old woman wouldn't have even said a word, that the situation would have resolved itself. The guy left on its own accord because everything was very clear. He knew everything, she knew everything, just by staring into each other's eyes. That's power right there. This is the power of a very powerful feminine, and that's very much what I'm getting in here. That's very much what I'm getting. Again, you may not necessarily be a woman, because I know that some of you are women watching my videos, but it's very much the kind of energy I'm receiving here. So it's a very beautiful, very powerful, but just a very good energy. Someone who's based in their heart, someone who's considering the best interest of all. So extremely precious and valuable energy, if you ask my opinion. I'm pretty sure you're ready, Nova. Thank you so much for having shared space with me today. That was a blast, and that was a lot to chew, I'm not gonna lie, when it came to your energy. There's a lot going on. Your energy feels big, feels very powerful. And yeah, it was a true honor to be reading for you. Please let me know down in the comments how it went for you. I'd love to be reading about your thoughts. Also, if you'd like, I'm hearing like if you'd like to be sharing things in the comments, whatever, about your life experiencing. I just share like the example of a scene I was seeing in my mind's eye. Perhaps you have experienced kind of similar scenes. So I'd be very curious if it happened. If you could write them in the comments, I'd love to read about it. And yeah, if you haven't done it already, please like and subscribe the video. That would support me tremendously. I love that. But yeah, that being said, thank you for being here on this world with us. We really do need you. If no one has said it before to you, there you go. And yeah, take care of yourself, and I'm gonna be seeing you in my next video. Till then, bye.